Hey, welcome back to the second half of our conversation with Alana Mooi. If you've been with us so far, you already know how deeply Alana's work with Nana and Farmer's Footprint reconnects us to the land, to ourselves, and to the rhythms of intentional living.
In this segment, we go even deeper, exploring how regenerative agriculture, indigenous-led healing, and mindful practices intersect to create lasting change. Alana shares practical insights, personal stories, and reflections on what it really means to live aligned with both community and nature.
Whether you're seeking guidance for your own self-care, curiosity about regenerative practices, or inspiration for living with purpose, this conversation offers grounded wisdom you can carry into your own life. So take a moment, breathe, and step back into this heart-centered dialogue with Alana Mooi. So how does one find this, right? If I wanted to know Native people in Pennsylvania, if there are any, how do I go searching for that? Is it a simple Google search or?
Well, and what benefit would that bring? I mean, I'm very practical. Like, we're having this conversation, but at the end of the day, let's talk practical here, right?
Yeah, the benefit of it,
understanding, you can shake hands and learn from this person and how they did stuff, but let's get to why people would really care about that besides just knowing a good story.
Right.
Why does it really matter? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Sam's first question is hey, good ways to find people like this. And if it's just Googling and that's the best answer, that's fine. But then the other one is I want the practical. I want to understand how many of these, these are good conversations to have and we need to have more of them. But we need to start doing stuff to really make an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. And for the first part of it, it's as simple as a Google search.
Nice. You didn't have a golden key. I was like,
so
all right,
that's
she knows all the tribes everywhere in the world. Here you go, Sam.
There are so many, but there are some incredible maps. And as you said, it's our political borders, become so irrelevant when you start looking at the way that tribes are distributed. The Mexican American border used to be those are the same, the Kumeyaay, back to the Kumeyaay tribe. That's a tribe that is in Mexico and in the US. And so that, there's a lot of conversation around that. But
there wasn't blockage of any kind. It was just land.
It was just land. Yeah. And people would migrate in different seasons, whatever. And to your other question of what can we do, why do that? I think that's super important to ask ourselves. And a lot of the time, to give a really specific example, in the LA area, right after the fires, a lot of different groups were starting conversation around how do we build the city again? Why are we so susceptible to fires, and in different regions, I think we can all point to different challenges that we're having, whether it's a water shortage, or fires, or different things that the way that modern society is structured aren't really working for us. A lot of the times, especially when we're looking into what are our options, what could the future look like, because a lot of what we're doing is very clearly not working. Indigenous communities have a lot to say about that. Back to the LA example, they know how to design fire mitigation pathways. Because it's no shit that it all got burnt down. We told you guys that this is how you manage a plane, a playing field. So a lot of the time, depending on what industry you're coming at it from, but I think inviting in Indigenous perspectives to design systems across industry. I see it a lot in the food system, of course, where the answer to that specific question is, well, you're trying to move away from an industrial food system to a more regenerative one. Ask your local Indigenous community, what grows there. how do they plant it together? How did they make it work? And this is true for construction as well, and development initiatives too. It's like, okay, you're wanting to build this like hotel right near a mangrove or whatever. It's like, well, you probably need to consider a lot of things if you don't want that to like be flooded very soon,
Sure.
and so I think bringing in Indigenous perspectives at the decision-making process when we're trying to transition into a more regenerative system, regardless of the industry. Like it's also true to education, like a lot of our modern education systems are like very hierarchical. They don't encourage a lot of curiosity from the students or participation. There are so many other ways to learn and to share knowledge. A lot of it is through story. A lot of it is through being on the field. So just inviting in, perspectives and practices that have stood the test of time.
Sure.
To
I'm curious on, this all seems like most conversations that we've been having with our guests, a lot of this stuff seems common sense. Am I wrong? Is that an unfair statement to make in the food aspect? Like, this seems common sense. Like, why did we get to the point that we're at? Like, why do we shift? Was it just convenience? Was it, from your, obviously you don't have the golden ticket here where you know it all, but it's just from your perspective. This does seem common sense to me. Like, why would we have not just stuck with regenerative farming? Is it because it wasn't cost effective, in the industrial side of things? Or is it impossible to have regenerative farming on the industrial scale that we need with the supply and demand?
This is a fascinating question, and I'm so glad you asked, because I agree. It's like our current food system. It's so inefficient.
Yeah.
It's not working.
I always ask that too.
Like, I mean, like, what the heck? Like, I don't understand.
Well, it was the worry of feeding enough people as a population issue, and I don't even know if they. Anyway, that was the big issue.
And that's
I
the
don't know if
biggest
they
myth.
take that into account anymore. Like, I
That's
really
the
That's
don't.
what they
biggest
say.
myth,
They're trying to
yeah.
justify it. Obviously, there's a lot more behind there.
I mean, look at the
behind that.
landfills, though. You can simply
there
save just by
definitely was,
landfills
like,
and
there
dumpsters of how much
definitely-
food.
Food waste is a huge
Yeah.
issue. And there definitely was, like, right after World War II, that there was like a food shortage, and we also had access to a lot of technology and chemicals that were developed for the war. So a really specific example of that is Agent Orange, that was developed as a war chemical, and then it was brought back and started to be used in agriculture.
Let's
so we're
spray it on our
literally
food.
using
Like, what?
Kill people.
I'm sorry, but
Maybe it'll
what
kill
idiot
bugs.
would think of that as a good thing, man? Like, this topic infuriates me.
Seriously,
and I don't
dude,
eat
it's
much. I'm not even a large eater. Like, it's crazy to me. But like, people that really take in all this food, like, how does it not anger people to hear this stuff? And I'm sure as they do hear it, it probably does. Or maybe I'm just a solo guy out here that's
Yeah, so what have you
infuriated
learned a
by
lot through
this.
your exposure to all this? It's the myth. You said it's a big myth, right?
Mhm.
Dwarf
the
wheat
f-
was
the
created,
Feed the
right?
World.
Yeah.
The Feed the World. Yeah. I mean, maybe back in the day, there was some truth to it, like food shortages right around after World War II, Agent Orange, because there was less people in the farm, that we also saw, like, there was this promise of, go have a career, like have a proper career, go into the city. A lot of war veterans themselves and their children too, I think, started getting a lot of support to study a career. So maybe, or I'm pretty sure that contributed to a big, like, exodus away from the countryside and into big cities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that and then that on top of the use of some chemicals that were developed for war to reduce the amount of labor that was required to, like, weed, for example.
Yeah.
It's like
Rock pick,
something like
the basic stuff.
Yeah, the basic stuff, that there was just less people So at the time, it was like, and that on top of subsidies from the government to produce certain crops and to
Yeah, I think that's the
utilize
big one right
certain
there.
pesticides and fertilizers. So that was also a huge incentive, like on a policy level.
Yeah.
Um,
Right, you got this
so
this overhanging, we'll just say debt that these farmers have. Right there, I used to work on a farm. Jared and we grew up, unofficially,
Surrounded by
we worked
farms.
when we were mad young on the farm, and we weren't even farm kids. But we were Husky boys back in the day, so they put us to work. And then I worked with a couple other farmers as well, and I don't recall. I feel like the farms that we worked on, Jared. I don't recall them going and spraying, but at the same time, we were young. We didn't really know.
Yeah, they weren't industrial. I mean, they were local.
They
Go
definitely
to
are
your
local.
food, your farm stand kind of thing. We were surrounded by that.
Yeah.
Like we grew up in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is very rich agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
and it still is, and so
On the regenerative side, though, I don't know. I did a simple Google search. We actually had a few more than I thought we did in the area, but I know there's a lot of farms around us that are not regenerative.
So yeah, let's talk about what that is, just to make sure we were clear in the air here. What is regenerative agriculture, Alana? If you could explain it in the best way possible. Is it? I mean, I know the answer, but I want you to explain it. Like, is it simply just saying I'm going to grow corn, but I'm not going to use glyphosate? Is that regenerative agriculture?
not really. Not really. I mean, it's and there's been so much like this conversation is very alive in the movement, and I think every person that you ask will give you a different answer, or a lot of people. So there's like, I think we can start answering that question like at a very high level, and then getting more into like specifically what could that look like in practice. So I'd say if we took it like way back into the ethos of regenerative agriculture, it would be something around like growing food in a way that is in sync with nature's cycles and with your local ecosystem, in a way that is enhancing life. And then the way that is expressed, depending on where you are, might look very different. So if you're somewhere like the Great Plains in the US, that might look like rotational grazing and mimicking the way that bison used to migrate and sequester carbon through that. But if you take that, same principle of regenerative agriculture and apply it somewhere like Costa Rica, it's not going to look like rotational grazing. It's going to look like agroforestry potentially. So I think that's something that is, that is really important to emphasize, because if we narrow down regenerative agriculture to a specific set of practices and stop considering like the context of the local ecosystem, we could end up with something very catastrophic.
Yeah, it can go the other way, right? It could be
it's such a beautiful way to explain it, right? Like if you, hey, you got this regenerative ag farm in the middle of Minnesota. Okay, let's just take that, what they're doing, and now we're in Costa Rica. Let's do everything the same way. Like, that makes no sense. It's principles. What are the principles that are being taught, right? It's organic farming. Okay, they're focused on the soil. Things that it's very cyclical. They're taking, regeneration is literally that cyclical regeneration. It's the same thing, right? You're able to regenerate things. The best example that I can give is literally, have you seen The Biggest Little Farm?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my gosh, what a beautifully, first off, that guy's cinematography.
Wait, that's
amazing.
the documentary I was thinking of.
Oh, is
that's
it?
the one. That's
Dude,
the one. Yeah.
I mean,
that's the one.
The cinematography was just amazing. The way that they shot that, and it was him because he's a cinematographer. It was just amazing. Obviously, what they did with that farm, it took it from nothing, right? A rattlesnake-infested desert to an incredibly abundantly rich farm. And they showed it, right? An example is on their fruit trees, there were a bunch of snails, and they brought in a bunch of the geese. And the geese just went to town on these snails.
Yeah. And that's working with nature, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the human species is so uniquely positioned to enhance nature's processes, unlike so many other species. And I think, You know, when we look around and we see all the destruction that we've caused as humans, it's easy to feel like, oh, the best thing I could do for the environment is maybe die and not have children. But when we think of the regenerative potential that we could have, then it's like, oh, this planet needs me and all my family to like do everything that I can, because we have had an unprecedented impact, and we could continue to have an unprecedented impact in a really restorative way. And I think that's what we're trying to do here with a lot of these movements. Like, how could each decision that I make throughout my day contribute to life? Whether I'm at the farm or not, whether I'm talking to you guys on my computer, you know, like I'm still going to eat. I'm still going to engage with my local community. I'm still going to wear clothes. And what's the type of energy that I'm going to let inform those decisions? Because they will have an impact, whether I'm aware of it or not. So if we can bring awareness to that and give people more information so that they can choose, then the impact we could have might make all the difference.
Do you feel that we can completely eliminate conventional farming, industrial farming, and just go, even with the world population where it is almost 8 billion and then growing, do you feel like we could go back to regeneration, like regenerative farming all around? Like, do you truly feel like that's a possibility?
Land-wise, right? I guess you need a substantial amount of land to handle that, so we're told.
There's land, there's workers, there's all kinds of things. It's the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, it's the whole ecosystem. So I don't think it's a yes or no question. Like, we need to change how we relate to our food and our clothes. And so it's not just food, you know. I think if we continue to do everything as we're doing and just, can we get, like, with the system as it is, can we just start shopping regenerative produce at the grocery store? Like, probably not. So I
Does
think
that even exist? I'm sorry to interject there, but does regenerative food exist in the grocery stores?
Yeah.
In some. Yeah, in some.
No. I mean, there's people doing all kinds of things.
Do you know of any specific grocery stores that you've gone to that you know of, like chains that you know of?
Yeah, so you're going to see it in different forms. Like, it's not like the perfect, you know, the biggest little farm, right? Where, this came from the biggest little farm. It's going to be like a local bounty, which is it's called CEA, or controlled environment agriculture, right? You're going to see it in kind of different ways. But it's still, they're growing food in a sustainable way. So a lot of it is right now in the greens, right? And some fruits, right? Like strawberries, things like that.
And you can get some packaged goods as well. Like Whole Foods, Sprouts, you know, there's some brands like
it'll say it on it, like grown
Simply.
regenerative. Yeah.
Well, you
Simply
said practical, right? So I'm thinking of practical takeaways for people, right? I'm living in the inner city. I don't have a farm by me. I don't have the ability to drive an hour out to the
Tillamook ice cream,
right? So you have brands. That's the take home. That's another thing, Alana, that we like to in our shows. What are practical takeaways that people can have? So Tillamook, Jared, you mentioned that. That's a brand out there.
Certified B Corporation.
That ice cream is
farmers.
Freaking amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. And even before, you know, like certifications and verifications are important. I think they have a really important role to play. Yeah, but even before that, like I'd encourage people to buy locally as much as possible. Like get to know who grows your food. You know, if there's a farm around, if there's a farmer's market, go talk to them. Go ask them what they grow. Do they spray? Do they live on the farm? Those are all great questions to ask a farmer. If they live on the farm, like that says a lot. You know, most times when the farming operation is nasty, they won't want to be anywhere near it.
Huh.
Butchers too, right? You're thinking about like butchers. I'm thinking we have a farmer's market by where I live, and that is a great question. I haven't thought about it while I go there, but next time I do go there, I will. Yeah. You know, there's one butcher that's pretty friendly, and I wonder, you know, some people probably keep some stuff close to the chest. Those people probably are the ones that are not in this ethos. My guess is that the ones that are in line with what we're talking about, they're willing to share. Right? We talked about CrossFitters
They'll
and
want
vegans,
to tell
right?
you all about it. Make sure you have some time, because sometimes, like when farmers are proud of what they're doing, they will talk.
No,
They will
Yeah,
talk.
you're right. That's a
disgusting.
good point. That there are things in the stores. There are things that you can buy. It's grown regeneratively. You'll see things. There's a lot of there's a lot of companies. Like if you want processed stuff, like there's processed food that's grown in a better way, right? Like certain chips that are like popcorners, for example, right? Like it's grown in a better way, better ingredients, the way it's actually made, those kind of things. But also to Alana's point, like as local as possible, right? Get as
Yeah.
many things as possible locally. And if you can't get it locally, like you could buy it from somewhere where it was grown locally, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that also gets us to, I know at the beginning we were talking about like plant-based diets or veganism, I think the more that I lean into the conversation, the more convinced I am that there is no one ideal diet for the human body. Like humans can thrive on so many different diets, and most times it's the most regional, local, seasonal diet where you'll be able to find like the best quality produce that will be best for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
if
That's the
you're
blue
living
zones,
there.
right?
The blue zones. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
local, right? And a lot of them, if you look at what they're eating locally, yes, it was largely plant-based, but they were still consuming, animal products in an appropriate way.
Yeah, man.
For
We
sure.
talked about the documentaries. I mean, that's a good start that people can, if they're film watchers or if they like researching, they can go up on Google as well. But those documentaries are a good start for people to just get aware of what's happening with our food.
What's
And
out
holy
there.
shit, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that we needed that many millions of cows for me to be chowing down on McDonald's. Side note, McDonald's, people hate it, but I say I eat twice, once every 2 days or something like that. I have no
It's Mickey
problem
D's.
housing a Big Mac, right? Like for
Alana's
me,
like, no, I can't hear this.
so for me, again, I'm all about the balance of things, and we all have progress, and
I
I'm
eat
aware
nothing, but
that
when I do,
Totally.
as
it's
I dive
McDonald's.
into the practices of, again, not trying to shit on any kind of brand at all because we want to be neutral here, but we all have progress with it, and we all have our guilty
Totally.
pleasures and things like that. And as we become more aware of practices, it's just about shifting that. Okay, I'm not going to go 12 times in a month. I'm going to go only whatever once a year
Yeah.
or whatever it
At
might be.
least know. Like, and
Yeah.
for you it's McDonald's. For me, it's sweets. Like, I
Okay.
got a sweet tooth.
Girls be
I love
chowing down on some
chocolate.
Twizzlers.
She
I
got the
like,
abuelita with the pan dulce.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I love sweets. I love bread. But at least know. At least know when you're eating a Big Mac
Yes.
that it like know what that entails. What is the
What is
effect
it
of
going to
that?
do
And
to
if
the system?
if knowing that you are choosing that now and then, like that's totally fine, but I think the problem for like oats is a clear example of that. It's like I always, because I get this question a lot too from like my family, like, okay, buying everything organic is super expensive. What can I do? Like there's and we share some of these resources with Farmers Footprint, like the Dirty Eight or something like that. Like the oats, they're so porous that they absorb so much glyphosate and pesticides. Like if you're not going to buy organic oats, it's better that you don't eat oats at all. But people thinking that they're starting their day with like
Yeah.
a healthy
Meal.
bowl of oats, an oatmeal, when it's like loaded in pesticides, like that's a problem. At least when you eat a Big Mac, you know that it's a treat,
It's a yeah, that's a good statement to make. It is
No,
a
it's a
treat.
good point. Just be aware. Be aware. Again, just be intentional.
That's
Be
literally
aware.
what it is, man. Taking the words out of our
Like, what am I eating right
Yeah.
now? Right? Like, how is it made? Break down to the fundamental ingredients of it. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like once you start becoming aware, it is a lot easier, right? It's just easier.
Well, you don't want to
what
do
things
it,
look
right?
out
You're
for.
like, do I really want to eat this pesticides? No, I'm going to spend the extra $2 on oats, the organic kind, because now I understand that it's filled with all this other crap.
Or I might have an Oreo instead, like if I'm gonna have a treat, if I know that like I'm at least not gonna have oats thinking that it's this like
Right.
health meal, I might as well go and have a treat and
Heck yeah.
then eat something that's like actually nourishing for breakfast.
Here's a random
So
question for you. How many treats do
Mhm.
you have in a given week?
In a week, a lot.
And I mean treats.
Yeah.
We're labeling treats as okay, people, junk food, the shitty food that we're not supposed to eat because our bodies it's just
the
made
McDonald's
badly, right?
sweets. Well, Alana was saying hers is sweets, right? Like, is
Treats.
it? Are you hitting like the homemade stuff and like unrefined sugars, or are you just like whatever?
A combination. Like there's a really good bakery near my house.
Mexican bakery, I assume, or no?
No, it's I mean they have like French pastries, you know, like there's croissants, au chocolat. That I really love that.
Hey,
The
you were in France
croissants
for
that
a
are
year.
filled with chocolate. So sometimes like that'll be my treat. I don't know, maybe a couple times a week. That in particular, but I also make my own sweets. As you said, you know, progress over perfection. Like
That's it. I think that's the biggest statement that we can make on every show is progress over perfection. That's
Mine was hitting Tillamook ice cream every night. Like I was getting, it wasn't a lot, you know. It was like a scoop.
Got his little bowl. He's got his little bowl. He makes one or
Sam
two
can
cookies.
attest to it. It wasn't like a lot. It
Jared,
was just
he's like a wild animal, man. He is amazing to watch eating. Like I just won't eat. I just sit there in the kitchen just watching him. Like
anyway, it was
but
I would say though it was out of control in a way that like it was enjoyable, right? But I was like I wasn't feeling and looking the way I wanted to, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm eating too much refined sugar. You know, I think that's for me, right? For everybody.
Mhm.
And for the past couple of months, I've kind of allotted it to just the weekends,
Mhm.
which could be a slippery slope, and I'll explain why.
he went out
But we lost him for a second.
right at the cliffhanger. Something about his clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming he lost a whole bunch of weight and he was able to not fit in his clothes as he's pounding down ice cream every night.
But even like, you know, him realizing that he's not feeling so good, I feel like
For sure.
back to us paying attention to like everybody's different. Some people might be able to tolerate more processed foods than others, or more
Yeah.
caffeine, more meat. I've heard some people even kind of pair that with different blood types. So being able to like listen to what works for us and what doesn't and adjust, I think is a skill that we've kind of lost in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we went into as society into default of I'm going to work in the system because I need to take care of my family, and whatever way I can get to that point just to fulfill whatever my body's needs are, that's all I'm going to be doing. Which is, it's really sad, right? On the emotional side, like, come on, humans, like, what the heck? We're supposed to be these, you know, the best, the top of the food chain, all this other stuff, but we do some really dumb practices as society and humans. Treats are fine. Those are absolutely okay. It's, you know, being aware that it's going to cause you some damage, right? If you want to smoke, but it's going to cause you damage, and you can't hate anyone for it. You can't hate on the fact that people don't want to smoke or don't want you to smoke near them or whatever it might be, but it's no different than with food. It comes down to the judgment and just being open to letting people do what they want and just trying to raise awareness of this is how you get better at whatever it is that you want to. And if you don't want to,
Yeah.
cool. Just, you know, whatever you want to do.
And I think it also gets to the part of the conversation where it's not a choice for everyone, and food access, and even buying organic, you know, or regenerative even more. Like most people can't afford to buy all regenerative or buy all organic, and it's not like they are choosing to eat a bunch of crap. Like
Right. Yeah, they have to. Whatever, I think was that Cowspiracy? Forks Over Knives. One of those documentaries went into the cost of the junk food versus vegetables. And it showed people, hey, if you want to go buy this, here's $10 versus now we're seeing the processed foods are getting more expensive. The one example I like to bring up is soda, right? Soda, I'm not sure if in Mexico, if it's raised prices, but in America, you know, a case of soda used to only cost, I don't know, $2. You know, 12 sodas for $2. Now you get 12 sodas for like $8. So we've seen this shift where it's, okay, America, you want this, we're now going to charge you, because I believe it was Michelle Obama who put this initiative in with the putting the calories on and how many serving sizes and things like that. So it started getting people more aware of, hey, you want to eat this, you want to drink this, you're going to be now shown all this information. And in
Yeah.
America, for years, again, I'm not sure with the rest of the world, but they would hide information, right? Or they got it on there. It's in a small little writing. You as a
Right.
consumer, you're expected to be able to read all this, which is not wrong, but it's also not also true. Like, you got to
Yeah.
inform people. It's no
It's like
different in
the
healthcare.
incentives are in the wrong place.
They
We
are.
were talking about subsidies just now, and subsidy is like farmers are paid to grow commodity crops, which are like food that is not like food for our food.
Yep.
So corn, wheat, soy, etc., just to name a few.
Mhm.
And it's not because growing that is more resilient or more effective, but that's where the subsidies are.
Yeah. You can get
So
paid $2 million to help us grow this. All right, well, I can go the regenerative route, but I don't get any money for it. Well, now things have become more, but in the beginning of it, I'm assuming it was probably a scary push for people to start that regenerative process.
totally, it still is.
Sure.
There's and a lot of it is I mean, farmers are in a really tight spot already. Like even with all the subsidies, you mentioned debt is
Yeah.
huge.
Well, tractors can be $1 million. Like, who the hell has $1 million to start off with, as a farmer?
Yeah.
Like, all right, let me go in debt for my multiple generations and whatnot. So, I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
we worked on farms and I didn't think about it as a kid, but only as I became an adult. I look at all the equipment they have. I see all their land that they're paying taxes and stuff on. And I know the government helps out with certain, lower taxes and it's registered underneath this. It helps a little bit, but you still have operating costs and you have the normal, I have a family to feed. Now, most of the stuff they can grow, which is a good thing, especially if it's, I mean, if they have a versatile, like the regenerative aspect, it seems like you have a versatile of all these different food categories now you can have on your farm, as opposed to just growing corn.
Yeah, exactly. Which you can eat is to your point. It's like I was reading something the other day that talked about wealth and how do we view wealth today, and it's like we work a lot to hopefully make a lot of money to then buy good food, a good house, maybe go on a nice vacation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be a very inefficient way of finding good food, a good house, and a lifestyle that you enjoy. Like there are much more direct ways to go about that.
It's like I went back to the common sense. Like the common sense is let's all just shift. I don't know why it's not just like that, right? So I like I said in the beginning, I'm coming from a very ignorant standpoint because I know majority of the world is very ignorant on this topic. Because if they weren't, then we would not see this. Or they're putting a blind eye purposely. It's either one of those. Either they're ignorant to it because they just don't know, or they're purposely allowing it to happen because they're greedy and they just don't care about the human race. In my mind, that's all I see. I'd like to, if you want to express a little bit, if you kind of align with either one of those points, or maybe you're right in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I think for most people, we've been raised to aspire to certain things. I think most of us, yes, there's for sure people that just straight up don't care and are very aware of the exploitation and destruction that they are having and doing that very intentionally. I think that's definitely some people, but I think for the majority of people, hello.
There he is. He's
There
back.
he is.
Sorry about that.
But you're good.
Jared, we were talking about the society. Like it's you have two ends of the spectrum of either people are ignorant or they are knowledgeable of what they're doing and they just don't care. And I was asking Alana to elaborate on, what her opinion or perspective is on which is it,
Yeah.
essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I started to share that I think there's definitely some people who are aware of the extraction, destruction that they are causing. But I think that's the fewer people. I think for the majority of people, we've been taught to work towards something, and that means, back to the example you were talking about, and like providing for your family, or having a career. In my case, it was like, oh, I want to help my community, I'm going to go to law school. And it's like how we grow up, you know, and what we think is possible, what we think will make us a good partner, a good person, a good citizen. And I think we got the story all wrong.
Sure.
I
Would
you
agree
know,
with that.
back to what we were saying about Indigenous communities, like the stories that they still share about what it means to be human and what they're aspiring to is so much more beautiful and makes so much more sense too. Like, you know, it's stories about being in community, it's stories about singing together and dancing together and praying and being in community, and these are the stories that they have continued to pass down. So I think that the modern story that we get about you know, studying something, going to work, buying a house, like that's just a different story altogether. But I don't think I do think most of us, or most humans, and part of the human essence is like being part of life and enhancing life. And I think whenever we get far away from that, we experience like on ourselves the negative effects of that, whether that's through like our mental health, you know, depression, disconnection, anxiety. I think so much of the um, like diseases or symptoms that we're dealing with nowadays are because this is not working for us.
100% agree. Yep. It's you're right. The script that we are, or the story that we're living, is this: go to work or study, go to work. That part you missed, Jared, where it's just false. It's just the wrong story that we've been told as society, and we've forgotten to go back to the origins of the food. Food is medicine. We hear all the time. Food has helped people to regrow certain cells in their body, regenerate certain things in their body. Jared, we had conversations like this before, where a certain amount of time goes by and your body starts regenerating itself, right? For certain systems in the body, your nails, your hair, like your body's constantly regenerating. So if you're constantly filling it with that treat, that's all your body is growing. So no different would it be with how society, if we're constantly filling it with this treat of this story that we just said, it's only going to become that, as opposed to now switching back and let's retell the story. Let's reconnect to the roots by finding the natives or finding the indigenous side of ourselves. A lot of Americans are immigrants, right? So some of which has crossed over, which is awesome, the culture, the indigenous side of them. But a lot of us just forgotten that story, right? We're first generation, those ones are okay. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, there's no way that they're still living that same story. If they do, it's probably in a very small pocket. So a lot of us has very, very much have become this just default setting, right? Going back to the happy age, from default to the intentional.
And this is the story that then these generations who are a little further removed from those traditional practices, like the story that we get told is designed by like mass media, you know, and marketing, and we see like this big companies invest a lot, like there's millions of dollars that go towards like making sure that that story lands.
Yeah. I saw a commercial the other day. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't remember the last time I saw a commercial, first off. And second off, why the hell does that company feel like they need to spend whatever they did to explain their product where it's already known? Like, you're just trying to enhance, like, why don't you enhance it with something different and better? America, you know, again, shitting on America a little bit, we're very closed off to a lot of the stuff. You know, we're starting to get very progressive, where the politics are getting involved, where they're removing certain chemicals and they're removing or becoming more like the rest of the world in a very slow process. It seems like it's coming with, especially this new turnaround with the powers that be in our country. I forget his name, but the guy who's helping with taking away the, you know, red food dye and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Bobby
Kennedy.
There you go. So I think we're on the right track to some degree by having more of these conversations, connecting with each other like this, being open about it, and like, again, being vulnerable. Like, I don't know everything, and I don't know anything about the food and indigenous and native people. And a lot of people I feel like are afraid to say that, afraid to say, I don't know something, because I cannot be vulnerable. I cannot show that I don't know something. Have you come across that in your, I guess, experience over the last 6 years, 7 years with Farmer's Footprint?
Absolutely. Yeah. Both internally with the team and externally too. And in my experience, whenever people say that they know it, they don't. So I think this place of curiosity that you're approaching the conversation from is like the way to go, you know, like I've been immersed in this space for years and I still don't feel like I know so much. It's
Seriously.
like the more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
Honestly. I read a book by, do you guys interact with Mark Hyman much? Dr. Mark Hyman?
His name sounds familiar, but not personally.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. He wrote a book called Food Fix. It's just, anyway,
Yeah.
you know, there's a book. So I read that book a couple of years ago, and what I really liked about it was this whole idea of the systemic issues that exist in the food system, and then he gave obviously solutions for it. And so that's why I found it really interesting book. He wrote it in like February of 2020 is when it was released. But you know, reading that book, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's so much that needs to happen, like an insane amount, right? And honestly, at the end of the day, it's like, all right, if you feel out of control, just like start with yourself. Like start with what you
that's
can
the
do.
first thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily have to go start a Farmer's Footprint or go work for a Farmer's Footprint to make an impact. But
not at all. It's like, oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
that's
I
it. Yeah,
totally
yeah. Buy
interrupted you.
locally. Start there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is like, you know, you keep saying like it's common sense. Like, oh, we need to do all these things, but it's like we just need to be like who we really are as humans and how we're meant to live and relate to the place where we live and the people around us. It's like, you know, there's this book that I read the other day. I can't remember who it's by, but it's called All Art is Ecological.
Let's look that up. All art is
Yeah.
ecological.
It's Timothy Morton.
I know that name. Yeah. All art
And
is, say it again.
All
Ecological.
Art is Ecological by Timothy Merton. And towards the end, you know, he says something that really stuck with me. It's like we're often thinking about all the things that we need to do. As you were saying, it's like, oh, going against the system just feels like so much and so much needs to change. And he was like, the truth is, we don't need to do anything. Like we are ecological beings. And it just, I was like, oh, that's right. Like, you know, it's like, and I might get like real spiritual real quick for a second, but I think like that having that approach of all the things we need to do and go through that very linear process is like what like that. I don't think that's going to lead us to a different place. Like I think in approaching change that way, we put ourselves in a place where we will face burnout, exhaustion, resistance, aggression. But if what's, you know, the way I approach my work is like I try to be in a different headspace and from that place, like I try to be present. I try to rest. I try to be present with my food and enjoy it and talk to the fire. And it's this like seemingly small radical acts that eventually is like, before you know it, your whole world looks different. The way you're relating to people, with your food, with your environment, is just completely different. And it's a much more nourishing place to like pursue change from.
It fills your spirit. It really, and this is what I was saying. Like when I started eating a plant-based diet, that's what it did for me. It's what I needed. I needed that extreme to break me from this old way of living. Right. And in that extreme, I learned a lot from it. And then I'm trying to, it's not like I went back to, hey, this is how I was before, just because I'm not 100% plant-based. Right? Like, holy crap, no. Like there's a lot that I've learned, and it's progression. I needed that, you know, almost 7.5 years or whatever to go insanely extreme with it so that I could figure out things. I could figure out different spices, all kinds of things, right? And connect a lot more with my food and just see the value in that and see the value in how my body responds. Like I personally I don't like to just eat a freaking big thing of steak. Like it's not my thing, you know, and it really hasn't ever been, but like it certainly isn't now. if it's a little bit of steak, but it's got to be mixed with like a lot of different vegetables and some good grains, then that wholesome meal just hits, right? And it's really
Mm-hmm.
good. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's like little things like that, so that
Totally.
you learn because of
Yeah.
these experiences that you go through and just try things.
I also think there's a lot of value in like creating restraints for yourself. Like I remember that was one of my initial like experiences when I visited the US and like going to a store or a grocery store.
The
Like there
lack
are so
thereof.
many options.
Yeah.
So many options. Like and clothes, so many options, food, so many options. um so starting to create some like limitations that guide my decision making process was so helpful for me, and like it's that creative restraint, right? Like it enables for so much more or not enable, like allows for so much more creativity and really encourages that. And it sounds like that's part of what you experienced with going vegan.
Yeah, hardcore restraints.
And
Yeah.
So going on that, because of being the restriction. So somebody's listening to this, they've never thought about their food. They're living very much by default. What is one thing that they can do to produce this restriction? What's one thing after listening to this they can change right away? What you're talking about to make that allowed you to shift like you did, right? To be more aware, I guess, in any of the stuff. You said clothes, you said food. We're not just talking about food here. It literally is, it's overwhelming to think of your entire life. So what's one thing that from your mind, if you had the young Alana who was the opposite of what you are now?
I mean, at first, and for I think a really easy one that covers a lot of them is stay away from ingredients and chemicals that you can't pronounce.
That's a great one.
A
Yeah.
lot of the times, it means that they are highly processed, and this is true for most foods and a lot of like beauty products and skincare as well, where it's like if you see like a big list of ingredients that you can't pronounce, you probably should not put it in your body.
That's a great starting point, is if you don't know anything, just look at the ingredients. If it's long, put it back. If you can't pronounce it, put it back.
Yeah. I
Black and
mean,
white
that's
mindset. That might be a good start. And then you can kind of like what you said, Jared, that's the extreme version, right? The extreme
Mhm.
version is, okay, long list of ingredients, I'm going to put it back. I can't pronounce these ingredients, I'm going to put it back
What
until whatever feels right for that individual. Of when you become, I'm putting Jared's kind of putting both of what you're saying together. Jared went to the extreme route. It took him 7.5 years, whatever amount of years it might take an individual to finally become more aware of the food and to, or clothing or shampoo, whatever it might be. That's a good start. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I had a conversation with my wife a little bit ago, and again, being the extremist that I am, I'm like, and I guess from a privileged position, because anyway, I would say certain things like, I was going on this thing about cereal, and just, and again, I go to the extreme really quick, and I'll try to like, not be that way, but effectively I'm just like, it's such garbage. Like pretty much that's what it comes down to. Like it's just straight up garbage.
Mhm.
And
Cereal as a whole is what you're saying?
yeah, I'm just going to say, like, sure, there are some more healthy options out there, which fantastic. Thank goodness for that. But at the end of the day, most of it's garbage. Most of it's chock full of refined sugar. It's just like, anyway,
Yeah.
so there is
It's
some,
like 99% of cereals
yeah, it's just absolute
I had Raisin
trash.
Bran. What do you mean, man? That's good. It's got
Yeah,
raisins
for
in
sure.
it.
Here's raisins that were laced in sugar, that is on top of some incredibly processed, like GMO, like just garbage. So anyway, we're talking about it, and she's like, that's great, but what about the mom who's got 3 kids at home and is trying to figure things out for herself and is working 2 jobs? She's going to buy that cheap cereal.
That's the key right there, man. That's what
the
this is
cheap
all about.
Equate
right here.
brand Walmart cereal, right? That's something that, and I think, Alana, you've seen kind of both sides, where I feel like you've worked with people there in Mexico that are that kind of that way, the mom, but they probably have not nearly as much access to that kind of garbage that we do here in the States. And then you've seen it here in the States. So I'm wondering, what is it? How do we help them? Right? Like, what do we do for them in
That's
the
the
current
majority
situation that they're in?
of of most populations, right? That's unfortunately the majority of how people live right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I
totally.
personally live in that chaotic world. I got 3 kids. They're young, and we it's really hard to really think
Goldfish,
about
Cheez
Yeah,
Its.
to have
goldfish.
a slow life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it sounds
Yeah. I mean,
great to be like,
you're,
all right, guys, namaste. Let's go ahead and just
well,
live
it's
on a
very easy when
homestead.
you're a
But
single person and you've got no kids, like
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, but it's also, I'm saying like for those that are married, particularly those that are maybe, like I just said, 1 or 2 jobs, like working really hard, not thinking about it, buying the cheapest stuff on a Walmart shelf, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I think that takes it back to something you asked earlier about, do you think we could, when you asked me if I thought we could get to a place where all food was regenerative. And I think if we continue, like if our society is structured the way it is now, no. I don't think so. But things like that, it's like living in this hyper individualist society where a couple is expected to take care of 3 kids alone is like, I don't think that's supportive for the couple or for the kids. It's like we used to live in community and help each other out. Um,
Right. In America over here, we lost that sense of community where we don't have. I mean, there's plenty of people out there, but there's a lot of people that don't. They live separate from their grandparents, or obviously, if their grandparents have passed, it's different. But if their grandparents
mhm.
live down the road, yeah, you lose that
Yeah,
ability.
neighbors, siblings, friends, community.
So you're
I
arguing
think
for
for
community
for
there.
those, and we have like I've seen that in more rural places where people might have like a much better quality of life than like someone that's very much stuck in the system, working a full-time job, trying to go through this like very linear path of success, that can sometimes be like crushed by the system. So it's like, yeah, you're put in a situation where you can't like where it seems like a luxury, like eating good food, eating good quality food and taking care of yourself
Having the
feels like
time
a
to eat,
complete
even.
luxury.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It
having
is.
the time when
yeah.
it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. And it's refreshing to be in communities like, Mexico, Latin America, India, Africa still, that we think as undeveloped, that are much more connected in so many ways, and we actually have a lot to learn from how these people live today. Um
Have you met anybody like that along the conversation we're having right now? Have you met people with the 3 kids that don't have that community you're talking about? And have you seen a change in them? Like based on the conversations, like, hey, this is something you can incorporate in your life. This is how you can be more intentional with your food. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
yeah, absolutely. Um I mean, and I think a big piece of that is that progress over perfection piece. And that's okay. Like I have so much compassion for raising one, let alone 3 kids. So yeah, even like involving the kids, like involving the kids in preparing the food, in growing it, even if it's like a basil plant, or anything, just like get it in front of the kids, like get them to take care of a little plant and then taste it. And that will start that connection, even if you're not sourcing all your food regeneratively, which is okay, but start rebuilding that connection to place, that connection to food, to nature, and plant that seed because you never know what it's going to grow into, especially in children.
Yeah, I love that.
It's beautiful. I think that's probably a good spot. I
Yeah,
just realized we've been talking for 2 hours. I'm so
we
sorry,
have.
Alana.
We can keep
We should
going,
have
Alana,
asked you.
but we should
She's
have.
probably trying to be so polite. She's like, bros, just stop the questions. I'm so sorry, Alana. We should have been more respectful. We should have asked you your time commitment.
Oh,
we love talking,
We
yeah,
connected.
I
Yeah.
can I
learning
can
about
talk
this.
about this all day. I do talk about this all day
I
in
know.
different ways. So, thank you very much. It was a beautiful conversation. Really enjoyed. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed all of it. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time. We would love to have further conversations down the road with you. The work that you're doing, as we connect and as we grow. One thing we like to do is ask our guest, what is a book you mentioned the all art is ecological. Is there an active book that you're also reading as well outside of that?
hmm
It's a fun book,
Yeah,
novel, whatever.
there's one that I have right here actually that I'm rereading because I just enjoyed it so much.
Nice.
And it's called Braiding Sweetgrass.
Mm.
Beautiful
Braiding
book
Sweetgrass.
by Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Excellent. I'll have to look into it, put it on my list. So
It's really incredible.
what's it about? Bullet point, like the main highlight.
Indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and teachings of plants.
Hell yeah.
Huh.
So
There you
if you're
go.
new to the world of that, that's a great book to start with.
It is, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's beautifully written too. Like it's a story. It's very approachable. So yeah, if this is your first book in this space, that's a good first one.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Oak Road Diaries. We really appreciate you, and we really, really do hope that it added even the tiniest bit of value to your life.
If you felt that the conversation resonated with you, we invite you to share it because you really never know who needs to hear this today.
You can find more tools for intentional living and the 7 pillars of transformation at thehappyatrium.com or connect with us on our socials at thehappyatrium. We'd love to see and interact with you there.
Until next time, keep tending to your inner child, one breath, one step, and one story at a time.
Take care, and we'll see you down the road.